LeBron James' season is likely over, and so is the season of the Los Angeles Lakers, which stinks. I literally, Bubba, I jumped on their bandwagon. It lasted one day.
That was a good run.
It was a good run I had on that bandwagon. I'm telling you, they were ready to make a move. I'm telling you, the Lakers, with the trades they made, with the pieces they added, with the shooting they had, with the defense they're playing, that's a team that won a championship in the bubble 2 years ago, and this team looked a lot like it. And LeBron was this season playing at a first-team All-NBA level, despite his being 38 years old. But the foot is down, and it's not going to get back up. Woj said they fear they're going to be without him for several weeks. If that is the case, I don't even know that he comes back this year. I'm not sure what the purpose is. Come back to try as hard as he can to sneak into 10th and get the play-in? I don't see it happening. When Woj said this morning on Get Up, it is not a question of when LeBron comes back this year. It's if he comes back this year. I think that's pretty much. Let me tell you, from having worked as closely with Woj as I have now over the last year and a half, he is very measured in what he says. He's not saying, there are no words he's using that he's not using with giving some thought to them. He would not have said that casually. There's a real chance that we have seen the last of LeBron for this season, like I think a better than 50-50 chance. So it's a shame, because that's a Laker team that I think could have really made some noise. I really believe that. I know it sounds ridiculous for a team that's under 500 and currently 12th in the Western Conference, but I really think they had a shot to get into the playoffs, win a playoff series, and then who knows? Are you telling me they had no chance to beat Denver? No chance to beat the Clippers? No chance to beat anyone but maybe Phoenix? And let's see exactly what Phoenix is. The only team I could see just sort of shutting down the West is if Phoenix is dominant. If KD steps in there and they're immediately comfortable and great, maybe they just become a juggernaut. Maybe they're unbeatable. Otherwise, I think the West is wide open, and I think the Lakers would have had a real shot. And instead, they do not. And I think it is a shame. He was talking about load management, which continues to be an issue in basketball that, look, I've told you already, I throw up my hands on this. I'm not talking about it anymore. I'm not bringing it up here. I've given up. So I will play what other people say. But I have been on this campaign about it forever, and I have been shouted down, and I'm just not going to sit here and talk about it anymore because everyone has told me that I need to give it up. But if Charles Barkley, one of the greatest players of all time, is talking about it, then it feels like we should be playing it. So is that the 27-second one I have over here? Is that what that is? Okay, so here's Barkley yesterday with Stephen A. talking about load management.
I think he kind of went overboard trying to take care of the players. He's trying to do everything possible to get these guys rest. But you can't make $30, $40, $50 million and then sit out games. I think it's disrespectful to the game. I think it's disrespectful to the fans. We're going to have guys making $70, $80 million a year. And you can't play basketball 3 or 4 days a week? I mean, listen, it ain't like we should working in a steel mill, brother.
So that's Charles's perspective. And I know that the modern day era of player has a totally different feel about it. I continue to say that the biggest issue here is not the owners. They're getting what they want. The contracts that are going to come in for the TV deals are going to be enormous. The owners aren't worried about this. They're not losing any money as a result of it. This is not about the media. It's not about what people like me think of it. It's not about the TV partners. It's about the fans. All I can do is picture myself. Like when my kids were little, I would take them to games every once in a while, and it was so exciting. And we would spend so much time getting excited about it. The experience of going to see a game is not just about the 2.5 hours you spend at the game, but it's about you tell your kids you got the tickets 3 weeks before the game, a month before the game, whenever it is you get the tickets. And you spend all this time excited. Oh, look, we're going to go see Steph Curry. We're going to go see your favorite player, Steph Curry. You got your Steph Curry jersey. We're going to go see him. And we're so excited to go see him. And you spend weeks being excited about that. And then you go to that game, however much money you spent on it, whether it was $50 or what it is in most cases now, which is hundreds and in many cases thousands of dollars to buy these tickets. And you go and he's not playing. Now, in the momentary case of Steph Curry, he happens to be legitimately hurt. So that's not a good example of what I'm talking about. But there were multiple games this year where the Warriors just sat Steph, Clay, Draymond, and Andrew Wiggins. They sat the entirety of the reason you wanted to go to that game in the first place. And having been the dad of those kids who had to sit there through that game, I just don't know why you would ever buy tickets again. I don't know why you wouldn't feel permanently disrespected by the sport and turned off. And creating bad feelings amongst your customers, to me, is just a bad idea. So I understand that I don't believe it's having a tangible impact on their bottom line, but there are things that should matter even if they don't make financial difference. That's what I think of this. Again, I'm not going to go into a soliloquy. Charles also talked about KD. And KD, I saw, responded on Instagram to the post. First Take posted what Charles and Stephen A. were saying about KD and his legacy and how he needs to win one without the Warriors. And KD responded because that's what KD does. He fires back, and he said something about being tired of this whole conversation.
If you go back and look at LeBron, who I really admire and respect, he said this. I did not say this. He says, I had to win a championship without Dwayne to get old heads respect. Kobe Bryant said this too. He says, I have to win a championship without Shaq to get these old heads off my back. I hold Kevin Durant to the same criteria. I don't care what the media says. I don't care what the fan says. I'm talking about old guys like myself who went through the trenches. Kevin Durant gonna have to, he's an all-time great. But when it comes to being mentioned with some of these other guys, he gonna have to win a championship where he's the leader of the team and he's the best player.
So I think a lot of people feel that way. Now, he was the best player on those Golden State teams that won. It's an interesting debate whether he is historically the greatest player who was on those teams, because you could make a pretty good argument right now that Steph Curry's place in the history of the game is above Kevin Durant's place. But to be clear, that's an opinion. It's not a statement of fact. They're incredibly close to each other one way or the other. But Kevin Durant was he was the MVP of both of the finals, and he was the best player on those teams at the time that he was on them. But he joined a team that won 73 games. You don't need me to go through all this again. We don't need to relitigate it. I do think that Charles is obviously right. The old heads, if you will, of the NBA, and even old fart fans like me, feel that way, that it will mean a lot more. The championship that Giannis won in Milwaukee, to me, counts more than the two championships that they won in Golden State during that time. LeBron's championship in Cleveland counts more than the two that he won in Miami. And when you're talking about a player's historical context. I write a great deal about that in my book. That's exactly what this book is about. If you like this kind of conversation, I settle 100 arguments for you in all of this. I'll mention again quickly. The book is called Got Your Number. It is available anywhere that you order books right now. The author is me. Hembo did the research. We assign the number from 1 to 100 to someone or something in sports history. Not all of them are uniform numbers. In fact, probably only about half of them are. And the rest of them, we created numbers for individual sport athletes. Do you think Serena Williams needs to be in the book? Do you think Tiger Woods needs to be in the book? Do you think Jack Nicklaus needs to be in the book? Do you think Roger Federer needs to be in the book? Do you think race car drivers, in some cases they do, of course, have numbers, need to be in the book? There's place for all of them. We had to make 100 decisions, and the book is called Got Your Number, and it's available anywhere you order books right now. And I put a link up at the top, pinned to the top of my Twitter page at ESPN Greeny. If you're interested, it's as easy as can be. You can order it from wherever you want by clicking on that link. But anyway, that's exactly what this book is about. Does Kevin Durant get a number? Does Steph Curry get a number? In the book, you will find out. And where Durant's place is, and exactly how we should define his place in the history of the game. I think it will be impacted significantly if he wins another title going forward. Now, you want to argue about whether joining a team that has Devin Booker and Chris Paul on it already feels a little similar to what he did in Golden State. It is a little similar, but it isn't the same thing.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.